Okay, had a little drink of water there. So yeah, we're gonna do one more Empire build tonight. Now, I feel this one is actually the dumbest of the three that I'm sharing tonight. I don't think it's as ineffective as the increased border range one. I just think it's the dumbest. And I call the Empire the widely pacified. You'll see why in a bit. Again, I went with a humanoid look. The species name is the passives, plural. Passives again, adjective, passive aggressive. Sectors got you down, seek sector ship no more and get pacified. Name list, the ship prefix is core. And of course I went with humanoid 3 for name lists. The ruler, I went with female. Their title is the ruler. Their name is defense. Because we are actually pacifists, so we can only be in defensive wars. The heir title, Crown Princess. If it's a guy, they're still the Crown Princess because that makes sense. Okay, so what I was going for with this one was this is similar to the increased border range one, where the traits don't really matter all that much, because what I was going for was a large amount of core sector systems available right off the bat. So that's kind of why I feel this was really dumb. But I went with industrious for increased mineral production and adaptive for increased habitability. Why those two? Well, increased mineral production is always good. Lots of minerals coming in means you can hopefully build more colony ships to colonize more quickly, provided you have enough influence. And adaptive because we want to colonize as many planets available as possible. Even the ones that are kind of mediocre, they'll be still more habitable. With the adaptive trait. So because we went with adaptive, we can't pick a non-adaptive to counteract with our negative traits. So I went with repugnant, so negative 25 ruler opinion impact. People will have a slight distaste for us right off the bat. And of course deviance, because it's actually a good pick. Reducing governing ethics attraction by minus 15%. So the homeworld name is of many, and the star name is the first. The first of many. And I went with a tropical world, as they tend to have tiles with more food and minerals naturally produced on them, which is good. When you colonize a lot of planets, you do need to worry about your food production. Otherwise, your people starve, and that's just a problem. Mammalian city appearance, because we're humanoid. Not that that really matters. Okay, so let's take a look at the Empire itself. Now, I feel like I did kind of screw up here when I was actually playing, and I'll get to why in just a minute. So we are Fanatic Pacifist, because that gives us +4 core sector systems and +40% monthly unity generation, which is pretty good. The reason why we are called the Passives and the leader name is Defense is because we must use defensive wars only policy. So we cannot attack people. We can only defend ourselves and possibly people that we have an alliance with. And for the second part, I went with Spiritualist, because this gives us back that +15% governing ethics attraction that we lose from the deviance trait, and it reduces unrest by -10. With the likelihood of, running out of food, for example, that would cause pops to be unhappy and create some unrest. It's also entirely possible that we just wind up colonizing planets with low habitability or with bad planet modifiers that reduce happiness. And by being partially spiritualist, we reduce the unrest of unhappy pops by just a wee little bit. Civics, efficient bureaucracy, core sector systems +2. So this gives us a total of +6 core sector systems, being Fanatic Pacifist and having this particular civic. And mining guilds to further increase Empire minerals production by another +10%. So 25% total for our initial organic pops on any mining station or tile that produces minerals. And with the authority, this is where I feel like I screwed up. I went with a monarchy just because I don't know. I would highly recommend go with a democracy, because in order to get that extra influence coming in by, as I mentioned previously, getting those orbital station mandates completed, you get that bonus influence coming in, allowing you to have enough to build more, colonize more planets. But there's also another reason for it. And it ties into why I went with Spiritualist, and I'll show you why. It's largely because of the first Ascension perk that I went with. Empire name and flag. We are the widely pacified. I picked this one because it looks like a whole bunch of planets. The adjective is passively wider, just a black circle with a red background. Ships, missile weapons, and missile weapons and mammalian style ships. None of that part really matters. So yeah, that's generally the summary. As I said, I recommend going with a Oh my God, I'm suddenly getting the hiccups. Excuse me. As I said, I recommend going with a democratic authority instead of a monarchy. Can't recommend this enough. Experience has taught me that this Empire build should have a democratic government, not a monarchy. So that was dumb. But the save files we're going to go to, I have a monarchy, and I'll show you why that was kind of a screw up. Yes, I have unsaved changes. I don't care. Let's go ahead and take a look at the start of the game with the widely pacified 0 years in. So you're going to see in a minute here that we have the opportunity to get a lot of core sector systems and not have to use sectors. We can effectively control 9 colonized systems. That's ridiculous. There's no way that anytime soon we're going to have that many star systems under our control, because right now colony ships are really expensive. But yeah. So first things first, on this planet, yep, definitely build an autochthon monument on an empty tile. Get your second science ship. Do all the usual stuff with the military ships, split them up, send them out scouting, blah, blah, blah. It's an okay homeworld. We've got an 18 tile homeworld, but you know, as you can see in the bottom left there, it's a pretty balanced amount of resource output, natural resource output on our tiles. 6 energy credits, 6 minerals, and 6 food. So not a bad starting planet to begin things with. So next big thing to look for would be technologies. So we have 2 scientists already with the maniacal trait, which is pretty good. Giving them a 5% bonus to research speed, no matter what kind of project it is. So let's take a look at what we've got here. Physics, definitely the orbital energy conversion for the solar panel networks. Society, we've got a scientist with the bonus to statecraft type of technologies. So planetary unification, great pick. Increase our monthly influence generation. And lastly, in engineering, not really good picks, but nanomechanics would be okay to build an engineering facility pretty early and maybe get a little more science generation going on. Yeah, as I said, the usual stuff. Get your first science ship, surveying your home system. Let's take a look at if there's additional scientists, some better ones that we could recruit. We'll definitely need another one for our second science ship, so probably go with this one that has the resilient trait. Seems like the best pick, because we don't really have a lot of good options here. Admirals, don't really need any of those just yet. Let's take a look at our traditions now. Obviously, we're going to go with the expansion tradition first, because adopting all expansion traditions increases our core sector systems by 2. So that would give us a total of 11 core sector systems that we could directly control in the very early stages of the game, which we're not going to fill up anytime soon. But it's there. Why not? Like, we can do it, so why not? And then our Ascension Perks. And this is why I'm going to say I highly suggest go with a democratic government, because this is a partially spiritualist empire, so you can get the Consecrated Worlds Ascension Perks. This unlocks a planetary edict that lasts for 100 years, which increases pop happiness, growth speed, and unity generation. This can be your very first Ascension perk. This is actually a really, really good edict to have available on your worlds. It costs twice as much as any other planetary edict. So any of these other planetary edicts that cost 105, Consecrated Worlds would cost 210 at this point. Until we got certain modifiers that are reducing edict cost, either by our ruler reducing edict cost, or a governor doing so, or just through certain empire technologies, for example, if that is a thing, like synthetic thought patterns, reducing the cost. you know, that'll be the value right now. But as it stands, it's still doubly expensive compared to any other planetary edict, but it's a very strong planetary edict, and it's very good for an empire build like this one, because you want to try and build up your new colonies as quickly as possible. You want them generating that extra unity, and you want your pops happy as well, which will increase their overall production. Let's take a look at 20 years into the game. And as I was saying, because those consecrated worlds planetary edicts are so expensive, this is where being a democratic government would really come in handy, because as I said, every 10 years you get a new ruler elected. They want you to build 4 mining stations or 4 research stations. You do that, you get the bonus influence, and that allows you to, bam, you can declare another colony as a consecrated world, and then that edict lasts for a very long time. So at this point, 20 years in the game, we've already got 2 colonies. We have the first of many, which is our homeworld. We have Gotcha, which is a 23-tile tropical world, so a pretty good-sized planet, and it has a lot of mineral and food production, a lot of natural mineral and food output on its tiles, and it's already a consecrated world, as you can see here. Happiness plus 10%, growth speed plus 10%, unity output plus 15%. This extra unity output helps offset the cost of new traditions, because as you colonize more, new traditions cost more unity. This helps offset that by increasing your unity output. But because we have a certain modifier going on, probably from our ruler, let's take a look. Let me see here. Is it our ruler? I don't know. Oh, yeah. Charismatic. Edict cost minus 20%, but edict duration plus 25%. So because of that plus 25% edict duration, this consecrated world edict now lasts for 125 years. That is a lot of bonus production, pop growth, and happiness for a long time, for the measly cost of about 200 influence. That's very powerful. So again, that's why I recommend a democratic government for this one. I kind of screwed up there by making it a monarchy instead. But on the plus side, having these 125-year edicts on new colonies is actually pretty cool as well. You can of course consecrate your homeworld as well, but since our homeworld is very well built up, don't really feel it's as important as consecrating, say, a new colony, because that pop growth speed is actually pretty good. Our third colony is another one. This is a 20-tile world, and it was the biggest one in this system that was neighboring us in the Ethiok system. The other 2 worlds only had 15 and 13 tiles respectively. The other tropical world only had 13 tiles, so that's why I picked this one. Now, it has a planetary modifier that unstable tectonics. Habitability minus 10%, which is fine because we counteract that with our adaptive trait, but it also reduces happiness by 5% and increases engineering science output on any of our science labs by plus 20%. So this would be a pretty good world to put lots of engineering labs on. However, there are certain events that sometimes happen where you had a recent big earthquake and it further reduces the happiness of the pops. Like these pops right now are pretty unhappy right now. We haven't consecrated this world yet. We don't have enough influence for it. So right now they're pretty unhappy, and there's actually a penalty to their production because they're so unhappy. Thankfully, there's not really any unrest being generated because we are partially spiritualist, so it's reducing the unrest by minus 10. So they're not so unhappy that they're on the verge of revolt. Of course, again, that could be what's the word? That could be nullified by building armies. Our economy is not looking so good. We have plus 7 energy credits, which is pretty abysmal, and only plus 16 minerals. So really need to fix that. It was kind of tough going here. Took a long time to save up enough minerals to get spaceports on our first colony. So that was a huge drain on resources. So definitely a lot of work to do in terms of improving the production across our empire. We're bringing in plenty of unity, though. Because we're spiritualist, we're also able to build a temple, which is kind of like a second Autochthon monument. And we're still bringing in a decent amount of unity. We've already completed the expansion tradition tree, and we've started the discovery tradition tree. This is only 20 years in the game, and we've completed more traditions than I believe the previous 2 empire builds have. And the crazy thing is, we have more colonies already, too. So, still generating a lot of unity, more than enough unity to get these traditions at a decent pace. For our second tradition, going with discovery, not a bad pick. To help improve our science production, as the cost of our science projects is going to take a big hit because we already have 2 colonies. Let's take a look at our current projects. Global energy management, so that we can get some energy grids going on. Genome mapping is really good because we can increase our growth speed by plus 10% on new colonies, and we're about to get the improved spaceport, allowing us to get more spaceport modules. Which would allow us to build things like orbital hydroponics farms. What else do we got going on here? We got several scientists with a lot of different little traits. Some of them are actually leveling up pretty good as well. And here's another one with the maniacal trait as well, too. The meticulous trait would be pretty good to put in a science ship, but he would be very low level, so it might be a while before he can even complete certain anomalies, certain high-level anomalies at this point in the game. What else? We looked at traditions, blah, blah, blah. Let's go ahead and take a look at 50 years in this game. So I believe at this point I had several colonies up and running, not necessarily developed, but we had several planets under our immediate control. As you can see, I have 4 out of 16 directly controlled colonized systems. How the heck did we get 16 core sector systems available? Easy. Our second Ascension perk, Imperial Prerogative, plus 5 core sector systems. Is this necessary? Absolutely not. But did we do it? Yeah, why not? We've completed the discovery traditions a long time ago. We're almost done with prosperity, another 16 months, and we're done with prosperity. So our unity generation is still really good, even though we have 6 planets directly under our control. Our third colony was Gimme Dat, and we're kind of just putting a general amount of hydroponics farms to get our food production under control. There was a period where we were losing food, or I should say I was losing food. And then in our 4th core sector system, we have the British mining colony, which has a planet modifier of plus 25% mineral production. So this is going to have a lot of mining networks on it. As you can see, there's already quite a few. And with the industrious trait, plus mining guilds, plus powered exoskeletons, plus the mineral processing plant on the planet, plus the high quality minerals planet modifier, we're generating a pretty decent amount of minerals, even on a tile that didn't have any base minerals. So we've got a mining network 2 generating 3 minerals, but with all these bonuses, we're getting 5.1 off of this tile directly. So quite a decent amount of minerals coming in off of that one tile. Still not a huge amount across the empire overall, and our energy is still kind of lacking, but we're starting to get things kind of under control. The other thing too is that every single one of these planets, except maybe the home world, is now a consecrated world. Gotcha, another one, Gimme Dat, British mining colony, and even our colony where we're going to develop power is a consecrated world. So their growth speed is up, their unity output is up, the happiness is up. This is turning into a situation where we have a very high chance of snowballing later on in the game. We're about to finish our 3rd tradition, for Pete's sake. We still have 16, or sorry, we have a total of 16, allowing us to get 12 more core sector systems under our control. So we could colonize, if there's a decent planet here in Trax Offco, which there's a 25 tile continental world. which has 70% habitability. We could colonize this one. That's one more core sector system under our control. This one here out in Rankshan, only a 15-tile ocean world, but we could colonize that. We got a 13-tile tropical world, which is kind of poopy, but we could still colonize that. Way down here in Trappist, we have 3 worlds, and one of them is a 16-tile continental world, which is okay, and then an 18-tile Arctic world, which would probably be a pretty good terraforming candidate. If it has anything good on it. This one has alien pets, and this one doesn't have anything on it either. So being able to terraform some of these planets would down the road would be really good, allowing us to colonize them and increase overall productivity within our empire. So at this point, we actually have a fallen empire close by, the Xanir progenitors, which are xenophilic, so they like all species. We gave them a pop to put in their nature preserve, and they liked us a lot, so they gifted us with 3 of their ships, which is pretty cool. They said they were surplus escort ships. Look how good these are. They have kinetic artillery. They have 2 railguns. 2 small railguns. They have 2 small gamma lasers, and they have 2 guardian point defense. So top tier weapons here. The tier 5 lasers, the tier 3, which is the best point defense, tier 4 railguns, kinetic artillery. They have tier 4 shields, tier 5 armor, a shield capacitor, and they have 0-point reactors. So these are crazy good ships that we got early on. Really handy for preventing people from attacking us, because it's like, well, we've got a better fleet than you. Now, a big thing that happened that helped us get all these traditions very quickly was we got the Cybrex precursor event chain, and we were able to get all the artifacts necessary to locate Cybrex Alpha. This was a big luck of the draw, so hopefully this same thing happens if you were to use this particular Empire build, because upon getting to Cybrex Alpha, you get a big bonus in Unity. Not in production over a certain amount of time. You get a big flat increase in Unity overall. You also get a bunch of energy credits and I think society research or something like that. But that huge amount of Unity, it was several thousand points of Unity. It allowed us to immediately complete, I think, 2 traditions in the Prosperity Tree. So that's part of the reason we're so far ahead in our tradition picks at this point in the game. What would you want to get for your other Ascension perks? I don't know. This is a spiritualist empire, so it's possible that we got psionic theory, which we did, and that must have taken a long time. But with psionic theory, maybe telepathy will show up soon, and that way we could get the Ascension perk mind over matter and lean towards where is it? Mind over matter. Where the heck are you? Here it is. Sorry. It requires psionic theory. Duh. And then we get the telepathy perk. So we could get mind over matter for our next one, and then that would lean us towards transcendence for our 4th ascension pick, our 4th ascension perk, allowing us to get psionic technologies such as psi jump drives or maybe psi shields, giving us some really good technologies. So like I was saying, there is a really good possibility to snowball with this particular Empire build later on in the game. The early stages were really touch and go. There were periods where energy generation was in the toilet because we had very low energy production, and I'm still trying to colonize planets. Same thing with the food production. We just didn't have enough farms generating food, so we were losing food. Thankfully, we didn't have anybody starving, but hopefully you get the general gist of how you could effectively use this particular build. I can't recommend it enough, actually, getting this Consecrated Worlds Ascension perk, because this Planetary Edict, it's really good. And again, this is why I recommend going with a democratic government, so that once you complete the orbital research mandate or the mining station mandate, you get that bonus 150 or 200 influence. And any new colony that you might have just gotten, you can immediately declare it a consecrated world and reap the benefits from that 100-year-plus edict. I think that's largely going to sum it up. We only have a few science ships just kind of cruising around, still surveying for new worlds and whatnot, which is actually helping with our science production, because we've completed the discovery tree. So once a few more colonies are done, get like two. If we were to colonize, I would say maybe another system with 2 planets, for example, and focus those on entirely building science labs. I think that this particular setup has a really, really good chance of snowballing. If most things go right, it doesn't have to have everything go right, because as I mentioned, I had a lot going wrong for me early on while I was playing this particular build to get to this stage of the game. Yeah, that's largely going to sum it up. Also, don't forget that at some point down the road, once you no longer need to generate all this bonus unity, like say you have your traditions, you either have all traditions done or you have most of them done, and you're not too worried about getting them all finished so much, and you want to start declaring war on people, you need to lean away from the fanatic pacifism, but you're going to lose control of 4 core sector systems. So if I was to continue with this, I would get 12 core sector systems and leave it at that. I probably wouldn't colonize any more additional systems, because I would have to turn them into sectors at some point. I would want to directly control them. But yeah, like I said, I think that's going to sum it up. Hopefully I got the point across for this particular Empire build. And that's going to be it for tonight. So again, if you saw this on YouTube, subscribe to the channel for more Stellaris Console Edition content. Check out the links in the description below, my Twitter feed, Twitch channel where I stream this off of, and the Discord channel. And we'll go back and take a look at how I built that particular empire once more, just as a reminder. So traits, industrious, adaptive, and to offset that, repugnant and deviance for the empire. Partially spiritualist to get the temples and allow psionic technologies and fanatic pacifism. Authority, again, I recommend democracy. And for civic picks, efficient bureaucracy and mining guilds to increase core sector systems and mineral output. That'll be it. Thanks very much for watching this evening on the live stream. And if you're watching on YouTube, hope to see you again real soon. Enjoy the rest of the week. I should be back Friday, or at the very latest next Tuesday, with another stream. Y'all have a good night and have a great weekend.